Hey there, it's me Eden. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to share with you cross-dressing story called Neighbor Caught Me, Part 5. So, if you're new to the channel, then please consider subscribing to get a new story every day. And please support my work on Patreon and get early access to the content. Patreon.com/Eden07. If you and Pete are the same person, he said as he calmly poured me another beer. I said nothing, of course, sipping on my beer to hide my shock. In fact, I told you that I thought you looked a lot like Pete. Sitting the jug on the table, he looked at me with those deep brown eyes and a smile. You and Pete are the same person, right? With a sigh, I nodded my head yes, unable to say the words. If your mother was with you, then she must think this is the right thing for you, right? Not really, I said. Mom hates it as a matter of fact, but she's trying to accept it. She told me that if I wanted to be a girl, then I had to do it right, so she's helping me, but she doesn't like it. Well, he said with a grin, I like it. You do? Why? Because I now have a best friend that happens to be a cute girl. So? I said stupidly. So? Don't you get it, Diane? I liked you as a person long before this, so what you wear doesn't enter into it. The fact that you are cute as hell is just a bonus that I intend to make the most of. Huh? Once again I got stupid. Diane, who better to be your date around town than someone that knows you for the person you are? Besides, you wouldn't want some guy you didn't know asking you out, would you? Bill had yet to touch me in any way other than casually, so I relaxed and simply listened to him. What he said made sense, and since he also knew that I wasn't really a girl, maybe he wouldn't try anything. Why he wanted to be with a guy dressed as a girl I didn't understand, but he seemed so eager, and I knew him to be a man of his word, so I agreed with a nod of my head. He bought another round in celebration, and while we waited for it, I told him that our agreement might not last long, since my father was coming up the next weekend to meet me as a girl for the first time. Bill sat there for a moment without speaking, then began to laugh. When I asked him why, all he said was that I had to learn how to manipulate men, and my father was a perfect target for that. He went on to detail how his sisters managed to twist his father around their little fingers with ease, telling me that if a little girl could do it, then I could too. He took me home and I went inside without so much as a handshake. Yet I felt strangely excited. While I had not envisioned myself with a boyfriend, Bill was both a boy and a friend. His suggestion that he be my escort to thwart other guys from hitting on me seemed like a ploy, yet having the constant security of his company would relieve a lot of tension when I went out. I knew, after talking with Mom, that I wouldn't have any trouble passing as a girl, and only my inner fear would keep me restrained. As I slipped out of my clothes and looked in the mirror, I saw half of the girl I wanted to become. There are a lot of flat-chested girls, but not many that are like me, and that means they are not girls at all. Like me, they are only pretenders. I turned on the television and watched the news before bed. As I drifted off to sleep, the unbidden vision I had was one of Bill, his eyes shiny and bright, his smile, then my capitulation as he drew me close to him. I still maintained that I didn't like guys, but my wall of denial seemed to be getting weaker and there didn't seem to be anything I could do about it. My own femininity was taking over my life, and I couldn't stop it. I knew what Mom meant when she said that I might find myself doing something for a guy, the only way I could, and while I could envision it, I could not bring myself to accept the fact that I might. After breakfast the next day I found a check in my purse along with a note from Mom telling me to use the money to spruce up my place, making it more feminine, as she put it. Looking around, I had no artwork, no frills at all, only the barren walls that I moved in with. I called Marcy, and we were soon on our way to some shops where I could find things to decorate my apartment. We spent almost all of the money, and with what was left I bought new sheets that had flowers on them. When we got back to my place we set about creating a very feminine atmosphere. Silk flowers under huge copies of Monet, little vases and silly little cat statues, potpourri in slotted dishes, tasteful pillows and a small stand to hold more silk flowers made my place seem somehow complete, and a lot less masculine. We changed the sheets, then I made us a small dinner. By the time Friday arrived every square inch had been vacuumed, dusted, washed, cleaned or wiped down. I set a small vase of flowers on my kitchen table, then went to the bath to prepare for the next day, the biggest, and possibly the worst day of my life. In the morning I spent a long time getting ready, selecting my dress very carefully, then doing my makeup and hair. My nails were done the night before, as was my hair removal regimen. I slipped on the thong panties, pulling them tight to my waist to help hide my appendage, then came the high-cut panties with the lace trim. My bra was white with lace trim, the half-cups fastened in the front, with the breast forms, the padding created a modest but exciting cleavage. The padded panty was next, followed by the waist nipper, the pantyhose, and finally I slipped the dress over my head and pulled the zipper closed. Mint green, the dress had a low square neckline with a pair of straps over my shoulders, a fitted bodice over a modestly flaring skirt that ended just above my knees. I wore the white patent leather heels with white jewelry, my best perfume and soft red lipstick. My hair, which I had learned to manage better, was held away from my face with a pair of small white barrettes. I looked in the mirror one last time, and saw that I had finally managed to look like the girl I wanted to be. Prepared for the worst, but no longer willing to hide in my bedroom, I had no choice but to confront my father with the girl of my dreams, me. I heard their car drive up, waiting patiently for the bell to ring. When it did, I took a deep breath, then held it for a moment before I opened the door wide. There was no turning back, and as I admitted first my mother, then my father who was right behind her, I felt his eyes boring in on me. Mom smiled when she looked around, seeing what I had done to redecorate, yet she firmly held my father's hand as he and I traded looks. I was more on edge than the first time I went out, and while Dad merely looked at me and did not speak, I could feel his tremendous dismay invading my psyche all the way to the core. Based on how I was dressed, I was refuting everything he thought a man should be. In other words, everything he taught me. Mom motioned for us to sit, but I just could not, and remained standing while they sat on the couch. "Honey," Mom said to Dad, "this is Diane." He said nothing, only his dark piercing eyes told the story. His dismay was clearly more evident than before. "Diane and I spent a lot of time together last weekend, and I see no reason we cannot come to some kind of agreement." "You don't look like what I expected," Dad said. "Most guys that wear dresses look like guys in dresses, but..." "She is," Mom interrupted him, "as you can see, a very pretty girl." "I see that," he said a little sadly, "but I did not raise you to be a woman, damn it. Is this what you really want? To be second all your life? To have people think? I don't think being a woman means being your second dad." I said quickly. "I agree with that," Mom added vehemently. He said nothing, so I took their bags into the spare room, leaving them sitting there alone. Returning, I made a small lunch, I said calmly, just let me set it out, I said as I turned towards the kitchen. The look on my dad's face was one of total disbelief and denial, so I quickly went into the kitchen to hide myself from his gaze and the immense shame I felt tugging at me. My heels clicked on the harder kitchen floor as I started to put things out, then Mom came in to help, quietly handing me 2 soft drinks from the fridge while nodding at Dad. She never said a word, but I knew what she wanted me to do. She wanted me to talk to Dad, alone. I swallowed hard, took the soft drinks, then gathered up my courage before I went in and asked Dad to join me on the small patio out back. I have to say that I was surprised that he even agreed. He was following me, unavoidably in my wake of sweet perfume, which was surrounding him as we went outside and sat in the 2 chairs. His eyes once again locked on my face, drifting to my breasts before his lips became a grim slit formed by his angry mouth. His hands were clenched and tight, resting on the small table. That told me that the road was going to be more than bumpy. Finally. That's all for now. See you in the next video, till then take care. Oh yes, next part of this series will be published soon. So, please subscribe to my channel. And to get early access to the content, visit my Patreon page. patreon.com/Eden07. Link in the comment and description, thanks.